Hello, welcome to the Eclectic Reader. Listen to great books and stories while you use your eyes and hands for other things. Now here's your host, Madison Mason.
Hi, it's Madison Mason. Thanks for joining us for Chapter 4 of The Great Quarry Boys. Chapter 4, Lloyd. Lloyd Klausner went totally weird. Klausner went through a phase that baffled everybody who knew him, including me, and even though we were concocted from different elements, I knew him better than anybody. I was probably the only person in the whole 10th grade who didn't consider Lloyd a retarded geek. At 15, Lloyd was already 6'6", which is great, especially for a white boy, if you can play basketball. Unfortunately, Lloyd could barely walk, let alone run, and the only dribbling he ever did was during lunch period. In the cafeteria, he sat alone, isolated by the entire student body. No girl in her right mind would dare a glance in his direction when he ate. Lloyd's knees banged together when he walked. He had no chest, just a caved-in place where a heart beat, narrow shoulders and spindly, shapeless arms which extended almost to his knees. Lloyd was completely inept, and the boy was as ugly as a hairy ass. Know what I mean? But the crowning achievement of nature's joke on Lloyd was his head, the size of an official Major League basketball. It earned him the behind-the-back handle of Moon Man. Kids used to yell as he walked down the hall, "Hey, Lloyd, is that you, or is the moon out early?" He never reacted, and he seemed oblivious, but I was his friend. I knew better. It hurt him, and it hurt bad. I guess Mother Nature has ways of balancing the game. You go blind, they say you can smell and hear better than everybody else. Well, Mom sure got a good one over the net in old Lloyd's case. Strapped as he was on the physical level, socially inept, incapable of simple conversation, the brunt of every joke, and destined to virginity for the rest of his natural days, my man Lloyd had one mighty ace in the hole. Lloyd had the highest grade point average in the school, the city, the county, and in the state. I'd be willing to bet he had the highest in the nation. His IQ hung out just somewhere under that of Einstein. This has been proven. Lloyd Klausner, repulsive sludge beast, was one stone genius, and Lloyd hung out with me. That's how weird he was. Well, hung out isn't quite right, since I was a hood and a badass. A hard-working, fairly intelligent hood. I was considered pretty bad news by the proper authorities, mainly because they were full of shit and I told them so. I had a job that was more important to me than school because it bought me Gant shirts, belted slacks, and a full assortment of Bass Weejuns de rigueur in junior high. It kept up a hot metallic Fathom Blue 51 Ford, lowered 2 in the back, LaSalle Trans, twin Hollywood mufflers, and chrome moons on white walls. Deep blue carpet, white perforated headliner, and white leather rolled and pleated upholstery. Pussy wagon extraordinaire. Fuck school. My marks dropped in the 10th grade from A and B average to D's and F's, and I had to repeat. Some head shrinker that came to the school said it was partly due to the wreckage of my family and my having to get a full-time job upon the final departure from that family of my mean-ass drunk of a father. I don't know. Later I found out drunk fathers came with the turf. Everybody had 'em. But it was really due to the testosterone racing through my balls at Mach speed. I grew up fast. I looked 18 at 15. That's how I was able to have a car for a year before I could legally even get a driver's license. Well, that and a fake South Carolina address. I worked in Abe Greenblatt's textile mill at night, alone, rolling and cutting long tables of material for sheets and pillowcases. I worked 5 nights a week, from 4 in the afternoon until 1 in the morning. Because I was underage, they called it part-time, but I was making more in the late shift than my teachers made, and I was paying the mortgage on my mom's house. My balls grew, I drank and danced and got into fights on the weekends. I was pissed off, and I made lousy grades. Everybody liked me. I was cool. Lloyd was anything but cool. He had to dress in his father's hand-me-downs and wore short-sleeved shirts buttoned at the neck. His old man had a fat man's gut, so Lloyd's pants were belted so tight that the material gathered at his pudgy waist. Everything Lloyd wore seemed brown, but nothing was as brown as his social life. I guess the reason we became friends at first was because I pitied him. He was a loser. Later on, I admired him. Lloyd never studied hard. He didn't have to. He was just so damn smart he knew it all. He could see something technical or mechanical once and tell you completely how it worked. For his 10th grade science project, while the rest of us intellectual droolers were hooking batteries to doorbells and the more virtuous were kissing teachers' butt with safe little goodies like ant farms and anemic plants grown without the advantage of light, which I always considered a twisted thing to do to some innocent plant. It was usually presented by the nicest girls in the class, who later went on to perform the same experiments on their husbands. Old Lloyd sat down and in a few hours developed and diagrammed the complete equations and schematic for a full-scale working atomic bomb. He won the science award and also gained the attention of some real nervous government people who came racing down all the way from Washington, D.C., quick time. We all knew the FBI was at our school that day. If they were being secret, they weren't too cool about it. And it was very exciting, except for poor Lloyd, who got grilled in Old Man Gaunt's office for about 4 hours before they were satisfied that he had simply used his imagination and logic, gleaned all his info from available sources like Popular Science magazine and pamphlets from the Library of Congress, not from commie comrades behind the Iron Curtain. The G-men left at the end of school that day, Lloyd's science project in hand. He still got an A+. For the next couple of weeks, Lloyd was the focus of more attention than he'd ever received, and increased abuse, especially from the gaggle of nasty little plant deformers with their circle collars and their virgin pins, who were now thoroughly convinced there was a spy from a foreign commie government in our school, and sex slavery lurked in their immediate future. But Lloyd continued silently on as before, completely unruffled on the surface. He absorbed everything the teacher said like a sponge, and it came right back out onto the paper in his homework. He never once in his life had to ask any teacher what something meant. He just knew. The perfect student, academic wonder of the school, buzz of the teacher's lounge, and pride of all the imparters of knowledge who ever knew him. The teacher's lounge propagated his geekness to their greater personal glory. But then something happened. I figured it must have come from inside his house. That, combined with the onslaught of late puberty, maybe. I really don't know. Much as he confided in me, he never discussed his family. I understood. I was the same way. There's a code of silence about what goes on in your home. But I suspected it must have been something to do with his father's demotion in the insurance office and the little scandal. Nothing really, just one of those hometown things involving his secretary, drinking, a motel that got whispered about among all my mom's gossipy friends. I never paid attention to stuff like that and hated those nosy bitches anyway. But that's when old Lloyd started going way weird. The first sign was the shirt. Lloyd shows up at school in a bright yellow plaid shirt on a Monday morning. The rest of the uniform remained brown, but his shirt stood out like vitamin piss on snow. That sucker was yaller. He still buttoned it at the collar like a dweeb. He still walked funny, but he was breaking out of the box. I could see it. I winked as he passed my locker, ignoring everyone as usual, but now they were all staring. "Looking good, stud," I smiled, proud of him. He kind of bit his lip and gave me a shy half smile and went on about his business. The only dope dumb enough to make a big loud deal out of something as unimportant as a different shirt was that social climbing ass-kisser Gwendy Mullis, a scrawny, professional virgin who should have been drowned at birth for my money. She was head of the Circle Club and made it her business to 1, know everything about everybody, 2, label everyone, and 3, spread as much crap about them as she could.
We hope you have enjoyed this episode of The Eclectic Reader. Please go on to the next numbered episode to continue. Also, check us out on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. If you'd like to help support the project, you can donate under Madison Mason at Patreon. And please, check out our website, kltkrdr.com, for more information.
Hi, this is Madison Mason. I want to personally thank you for listening to The Eclectic Reader and invite you to share your experience, your thoughts, and your suggestions. We have many great books lined up for the future, but if you have requests for anything that is in the public domain, please email us at kltkrdr@gmail.com.
kltkrdr@gmail.com